Welcome to my shop. This is Jim, Saw Logs Plastic Hubs. Hope you enjoyed today's video. We're working on a project. Come along, have fun. Well, we're going to beat a dead horse. I've never made a video on this dead horse, but there's plenty of them. And there's plenty of different designs of different ways they look. What is it? It's a shop hammer. This is the one that I made for myself. It's a very simple design hammer. This little one right here. I made this thing for myself. Oh, when I first got my first, I don't want to say mini lathe, but I made this with a regular, when I got my other lathe. And this one's got a stainless, this is stainless and that's stainless. Durling, brass, screwed together. I used around the shop. I have made some, you probably might even see pictures of some of my videos of these hammers being made. They're real simple. Basically, a round piece of stainless. You put two ends on them and lock them together with a stainless shaft for a handle. This particular one is a gift for a friend of mine who I used to work with. Oh, down at Eaton, and he's a young man. Well, he's not young anymore, but I can remember when he came to work with us, and he was a young man. And he's been wanting a hammer from me, and I told him when I retired that I would do one. I just hadn't had the time. Really, I didn't think I had the stuff laying around here. So this is the materials for John's hammer, and that's what the title of this video is going to be, John's hammer. I have some Durling, I have some brass, I have a piece of stainless, and I have some aluminum here. So what we're going to do, more or less, is kind of pattern this hammer off of the one that I made, and we're just going to bring you along for the ride in the machining. And I'm going to try, I may not shoot as much detail as I normally do because, quite frankly, this is simple machining. Machines the ends off. The biggest trick with stainless, making these hammers, is the drilling and tapping of it. And I'll be up front with you. Everything's going to be threaded together 1/4-20. And again, we will discuss that when we get into that. So you're going to be looking at a lot of 1/4-20 tapping. I'm going to do a little bit of screw cutting on these because stainless is a bear to try I'm going to single point these, which is a little easier to deal with. So with all that being said and done, let's get started this morning. Let's have fun. Alright, I just off camera, and the reason why is this stainless kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I've already got in there and I put the relief in. So we're going to put a 1/4" 20 thread pitch right here. That's the plan. And so what I've done is I only have the GT3 relief tool. So I've cut that down to the proper size, a little bit under for the thread. So we'll have a little bit of relief there for the threading tool. Excuse me, I'm handheld, so there may be a bit of shake, but you see there's the threads. I'm not going to show the threading process because I'm going to be honest, I don't thread that often and I really need to pay attention. So, alright, I've got one side, I got to do the other. And I don't do anything any different than anybody else that threads. You can see there it is. It's a 1/4-20 nut to go up on there nice and free. The only thing that I do I don't do different anything. Let me kind of just bring you back and show you my setup. And I'll unzoom you here and I'll show you my setup, what I'm doing. There we go. Basically, I use the key Fenner method where you have a gauge here, so I'm watching my compound, and I check my, I've got a machiner's handbook, and I also got the black book, so I looked at the black book and figured the thread depth up. It's basically 30 thousandths so per side on these, something of that nature roughly. I always pick one number instead of trying to remember which pitch thread and all that garbage. And I don't thread every day, and I'm not a professional manual lathe machinist. I don't do this threading very often. I've not really done it that much in my lifetime. So by taking care and hitting, I just use my number 1, hit it constantly. And by doing that, you can make acceptable threads. I do not do much single point because most of the time I'm making something standard out of mild steel, and it's just a whole lot easier to make a onesie by popping a die in there. The only reason I'm doing this is it's stainless, and it's so darn hard, dies just do not like to cut it. So it's just a lot easier to single point this. So I'm going to flip it over and do the other side because this rod has to be threaded on both sides of the handle. I'm going to show you a little sawing how well the table works. The other thing I like about having this is just like this. You get a lot of short pieces of stock, especially stuff like stainless, which is fairly expensive. And this way you can get more out of it. So, off to the lathe. Alright, and I'm going to show you facing a little bit of stainless. We're not actually going to turn this stuff. We're just going to face it off. And that's going to be the basis of the hammer, actually. The other side's already faced off, by the way. I've made probably a hammer out of it. I got to change the chamfer in. I don't want to put a big chamfer on these. I'll just file these. Stainless isn't that bad, the machine. Let's put some light back on there. Turn this light off, see if that helps. Not making a... I had the light on when I was threading. And I apologize for not shooting any footage of the threading, but I've threaded maybe once every month. Well, maybe that's the first time I've threaded it since I moved this lathe here. So it's been that long since I've threaded, and quite frankly, I need to really pay attention. Threading is one of these things that you've really got to pay close attention to. You can't be I can't be worrying about the camera. I'm going to go ahead and, well, it needs to be polished, but we ain't got to that point. So I'm going to go ahead. Normally when I do these, and I'm going to try something different today, but normally when I make these things in the past, I've just drilled them on each side. But I'm going to today, in this particular one, I think, and I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to try to drill it all the way through. Just make it easier on the tap for clearance. So, it also helps when you tighten your stuff up, doesn't it? Stainless is just a bear to work with. And quite honestly, it is. It's just a challenge all the way around. But it, you know, for something like I say, and I made a couple of these for gifts, and so let me get a drill, and I'll explain the drill size in a minute. All right, what you're looking at is my chart. Normally, if you're drilling a 1/4-20, you're drilling somewhere 9/8. I usually use a 7. I usually go for 70% on most stuff. Now, we're going in stainless steel. And again, this isn't for maximum strength. All this stuff's going to be Loctited. To keep from having tapping trouble, we're going to go in here at 4. What we're going to do is use a 4 and aim for somewhere around 57 to 63% of the thread. Because we're going to Loctite the screws in on this stainless, and it's being stainless, we're not taking no chances. So I think it's just a smart thing to do. So I want, you know, I'm just going to throw a little idea of how I think sometimes. I'm sorry, I had a phone call. The shop's going to have a roof on it, and we've got some damage outside. And I'm just taking, this is a tapered tap, by the way, and I'm just trying to be very careful and just bumping it in there a little bit. As long as I get some threads in there, all I'm caring about. And that's, again, the reason for using such large size stuff is I can make this fit. So there we go. So we've got one side of this thing faced and threaded. Now we'll just turn it over and do the opposite same for the other side. Alright, we're going to go through it now. I may have to bring it up a little bit like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill. I may have to let this back down now. I'm going to tell you right there's the tool. I mean, any of you guys, any of my viewers own their own knee mill, and I think I've said this a couple of times, and I'll say it again. If you don't want to make one of these theory style ones that I have, in mine, like I say, it's fairly simple to make. You know, if you make it that style where you don't have to and this is stainless, so you always want to remember you're dealing with stainless. So now one other thing I'm going to do now while I've got it chucked up before I tap this thing is I'm going to put a little bit of a relief hole in it. Just enough to, so when the shaft screws up in here in a bit, then it'll screw up in it. So well, this looks like that needs to be turned just a smidge. Like that's just a. Oh, this is that. This is the part the world of it. Alright, what that's for is that relief there is for the, so when the handle screws up in it, that'll work. Okay, so now we're going to tap this thing, and I'm not going to tap it. I'm going to get the hand tapper out and do it. Alright, I went back and done a little re-engineering. I went and grabbed this little drill press vise, and I went and got me a taper tap. And this, because this is when it's difficult like this, you can break them. And one thing is too easy to do. Most of the time when I break a tap, it's usually coming out actually, not going in. Usually it binds. So what I've done is I went and got this tapered tap so I can kind of work my way down in it. Now like I said, I drilled this for 50% of the thread. That's just my automatic normal go-to with this kind of stuff. And when it's like this, you just want to go a little bit at a time. You get any resistance, you back off, because you can break a tap. Stainless, I've got a good bit of broke stuff in stainless, so let me look at this and see what it looked like, and I'll come back. So that's the whole point. I just want you to understand that this is something I'm very careful with. Stainless is just a pain to deal with. Now that's installed, and it's Loctited with 648, so it will set up. So There we go. We got that done. Now we'll move on to the next project. All right, this is a little piece of bronze. Actually, this was a piece of brass off of an old, it was actually an old brass hammer that actually came from Eaton. It was in the scrap bin, and I turned it out and made pieces out of it. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to chew this up a little bit. I'm going to get it true. We'll tap holes in it so deep. Turn part of the OD down on it. To make it a nice slick surface. And basically get it ready to be used. So I'm not going to bore you with all this machining. I'm going to just sort of rough it down close. Let it go. I don't want to turn it all on the manual. I just want to clean it up on the manual. Okay, we're going to turn the OD now, and I'm just going to clean this OD up. All I want to do is get a clean OD to knurl to. I'm going to try to get fancy with this. Just make sure it's good and round. This is a WNG 432, and I use this sometimes because you need to get around the tailstock. We're just taking a quick run down the OD. I got this thing pulled out. All this is supposed to be my knurl diameter. Then I got to come back on the other end. And we're going to turn the other end back. So I'm just turning this back to where I'm going to work from. Like right there. That's good enough. Now I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do on the other end. Okay. This is John's. This is a completed hammer. These are not hard to make. I mean, there's some designs out there. This is more, I guess, I mean, I use mine, but this is more of a gift item, really, than it is a actual way I use mine. I like this size because it's small and it's easy to get in places. Now, this one's a little bigger than mine, but it's got a good balance to it and that brass end on it. So that's the hammer. That's the completed one for John. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed your visit to my shop here. This is Jim, and you always enjoy the videos. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, because that keeps me going. I always try to keep something interesting. So again, I appreciate all my subscribers, especially the newer ones who's just signed on. We're trying to build this channel, just, you know, show a person out in the shop having fun. Again, appreciate you watching, appreciate the comments. Also, share with your friends that you have. You know, you got friends that's interested in such videos. Hey, tell them about me and have them come by and pay a visit. So you have a great day, and we'll see you when next time I decide to make one of these things.